Welcome to the interrogation room. We are not here to hold hands.
No.
We are not here to make you feel comfortable about the pretty pictures you saw at the museum last Sunday.
Absolutely not.
We are here to conduct an autopsy. I am putting reality on the stand. Today, we're stripping away the veneer of culture to look at the rotting machinery underneath. Welcome to Doctorates of the Absurd.
I would say it's less of an autopsy and more of a diagnosis of a terminal condition.
Okay.
What we are looking at today is not art history. It is a series of crime scenes.
Crime scenes.
Crime scenes where logic has been murdered by a glitch in the system.
A crime scene. Good. I like that. Because the proposition I have for you, the listener, right now is this. You think art is about beauty.
A common mistake.
You think it's about expression. You think it's about making the world a slightly nicer place to live. If you believe that, you are the victim of a con.
A very old con.
The source material we have piled up on this table text by Eric Elias, Maurizio Lazzarato, Jussi Peruka, and Johnny Golding. It suggests that art is actually a battlefield of forced consensus.
It is.
It is a weapon of laziness.
Wow.
It is, and I mean this, a literal virus.
It is the breakdown of the aesthetic paradigm. We are not discussing paintings today. We are discussing the mechanics of control.
And resistance.
And the few rare moments where the machine stutters.
Then let's define the mission. We are going to deconstruct the so-called holy cultural alliance. We're going to expose the dark underbelly of something called relational aesthetics, which, sounds nice, but is apparently a trap.
It's the most pleasant trap.
We're going to look at the Anartist, who does nothing, and then software ethology, where code literally eats capitalism.
Yes.
So let's open the file. Part 1, the trap of consensus. We start with a critique of the 1990s.
The era of forced friendliness?
Exactly. Forced friendliness. I want to talk about this concept, relational aesthetics. Now, the source material focuses on a critique by Eric Elias. But to understand the critique, we have to understand the target.
Of course.
In the 90s, you had this figure, Nicolas Bourriaud, claiming that art was no longer about objects. It was about relations.
Conviviality.
Conviviality.
Well,
being friendly. Having a Thai curry in a gallery. My question is simple. Why is being nice suddenly considered high art? What is that move?
because it's not being nice. It is the anesthetic of the social bond. Allies argues that this turn toward relational aesthetics is essentially a form of Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome. Now, that is a heavy accusation.
It is.
You're saying the culture is falling in love with its captor.
Precisely. It is a paradoxical link between sociocultural consensus and the avant-garde. Think about it.
Okay.
The avant-garde used to be about rupture. It was about shock.
Yes.
About, breaking the system.
Right. Upsetting people.
Relational aesthetics takes that revolutionary desire and it domesticates it. It reduces the avant-garde to a fashionable look. It evacuates revolutionary desire, as the text says, through the small door of communication.
A small door.
It says, don't burn down the museum.
No.
Just have a cup of soup in the lobby and feel like you're part of a community.
So it's a pacifier. It's treating the audience like a crying baby that needs to be soothed with interactions.
Exactly.
The source mentions this idea of micro-utopias. And that, to me, sounds like marketing speak. Come experience our micro-utopia.
It is the ultimate fallacy. The claim is that by creating these small moments of conviviality, we are repairing fissures in the social bond.
Repairing fissures.
But Alice points out that this is just service capitalism. It's filling the cracks in the pavement while an earthquake is shattering the foundation. It avoids the real conflict. It turns the molecular revolution, the deep structural change we need, into a micropolitics of intersubjectivity.
Micropolitics of intersubjectivity. That sounds like a corporate retreat.
It essentially is. It creates a space where the curator becomes a manager.
A manager.
The curator manages proximity. It is the aestheticization of politics, but in the most neutered way possible. It claims to be democratic, but it is actually populist in the worst sense.
Let's drill into that word populist.
Yeah.
Because Allies has a very specific, a very dark definition of contemporary populism here. He talks about it being a terminal form.
Yes. He argues that populism is what happens when the people are lacking as a political subject.
What do you mean lacking?
When the working class, or the people, in a revolutionary sense, no longer exists as a unified force, populism fills the void.
It's a ghost.
It becomes the shadow cast by the commodification of politics. It is a floating signifier. You see this when votes transfer from the extreme left to the extreme right without even blinking.
Right.
The people becomes just another marketing demographic for infotainment.
So art that tries to appeal to the people through these friendly relations is actually just participating in this infotainment shadow.
It's feeding the beast.
The text mentions a twist on Deleuze's famous title, Capitalism and Schizophrenia. Allays changes it.
He adds one word.
Capitalism and schizophrenia and consensus.
That's the dagger. The 1960s were about capitalism and schizophrenia, the madness of breaking out. Relational aesthetics adds consensus.
It puts a leash on the madness.
It tries to reconcile the madness of the market with a polite agreement that everything is okay. It tries to make schizophrenia polite. It tries to make the radical palatable for the Sunday brunch crowd.
It's making the revolution customer service friendly.
It is, as you said, service capitalism.
Now this brings us to the godfather of conceptual art, Marcel Duchamp, because the defenders of this friendly art, they love to claim Duchamp as their ancestor.
They do.
They say, look, Duchamp said the viewer completes the work. Therefore, art is about social relations. But Allays, and your source material, they seem to suggest this is a total misreading.
It is the difference between the soft Duchamp and the hard Duchamp.
Unpack that.
Yeah.
What is the soft Duchamp?
The soft Duchamp is the version taught in weak art schools. It is the idea that Duchamp was a humanist who wanted to empower the viewer.
Okay.
It claims that by using ready-mades, he was prioritizing social relations over the fetishized object. It turns Duchamp into a proponent of little democracy.
A cuddly Duchamp. A Duchamp who wants us all to just get along.
Disgusting. The source material argues for the hard truth. The hard Duchamp was deontological.
Deontological. Explain that. He didn't believe in the nature of being.
He explicitly stated, I do not believe in the word being. He wasn't trying to create a social bond. His work was a bachelor machine.
A bachelor machine.
A closed loop of floating signifiers. When he put a urinal in a gallery, he wasn't inviting you to have a conversation about plumbing or community.
No.
He was creating a short circuit. He was severing the link between the object and its meaning. It wasn't a tool for social bonding. It was a tool for voiding the image.
So relational aesthetics is basically hijacking a nihilist and painting a smiley face on him.
They are turning a weapon into a toy. Allays concludes that relational aesthetics is a transcendental monstrosity.
A monstrosity.
It forces consensus where there should be a void. It fills the silence with chatter.
That is a grim verdict for the dinner party artists.
Mm-hmm.
But let's pivot. If we reject this friendly art, if we reject the soft Duchamp, what is left?
Right.
The source material points us to Maurizio Lazzarato and a concept that I find personally fascinating. The Anartist.
The Anartist, not the anti-artist.
Right. I need to interrogate this distinction. Why isn't it just anti-artist? Anti implies you're against something. Isn't that what we want?
No, anti is a trap. It's a dialectical opposite.
How so?
If you are an atheist, you are still defined by theism. If you're an anti-artist, you are still playing the game of art, just on the other team.
You're still in the same field.
You are still acknowledging the authority of the art institution by fighting it.
You're defined by your enemy.
Exactly. Duchamp rejected the anti. He proposed the anartist. And an artist is like the anarchist. It is something that escapes the binary entirely.
It's a sidestep.
It steps sideways.
So the anarchist doesn't fight the system. They just stop functioning within it.
They refuse the role. Lazzarato focuses on the refusal to create. In a world that demands constant production, constant creativity, constant expression, the most radical act is to do nothing.
Laziness is a weapon. I love it. But this isn't just sitting on the couch, is it? It's a specific kind of laziness.
It is the laziness of the technician. Duchamp called himself a benevolent technician.
An engineer of lost time.
Yes. Think about the ready-made. A urinal. A bottle rack. He didn't make them. He didn't sculpt them. He didn't paint them.
You went to a shop and bought them.
He chose them. But even the choice is tricky. You noted that the ready-made is not made, it is chosen. But Lazzarato adds a twist.
Which is?
One does not choose a ready-made, one is chosen by it.
One is chosen by it. Okay, that sounds mystical.
But it's not.
Unpack the logic. If you choose, based on your taste, I like this bottle rack, it's pretty, then you're back in aesthetics. You're back in art.
Exactly. You have to choose with total indifference. You have to escape your own taste. You have to escape the capitalist distribution of competencies.
What does that mean? Distribution of competencies.
Capitalism says, you are an artist, you have talent, you make things, the Anartist says. I act to the minimum. I choose to choose. It is doing nothing. as a strategy to escape being an employee of the art world.
It's a strike of one.
Precisely.
Now, the source material mentions something that I know you are obsessed with.
The inference.
The infothin. This sounds like the glitch you're always talking about.
It is the glitch. It is the infinitesimal difference. It is the space between two things that are identical yet distinct.
Give me the concrete example. The door.
Duchamp built a door in his apartment at 11 Rue Leray. It was a single door hinged between two door frames set at a right angle. One frame led to the studio, the other to the bedroom. Because of the geometry, when you open the door to the bedroom, you close the door to the studio.
And vice versa. Simple mechanics.
No, profound metaphysics. There is a French proverb. A door must be either open or closed.
A or B.
It is the law of the excluded middle. It is binary logic. Duchamp's door was always both open and closed at the same time.
He built a physical violation of logic.
He disrupted the distribution of the sensible. It is a disjunctive synthesis. It forces the mind to accept a glitch in reality.
And this connects to the ready-made how.
Lazzarato argues that the ready-made is not about the object. It's not about the urinal. It is about the time.
The time.
The infracin interval that separates two identical things. A urinal in the shop and the urinal in the gallery. Physically, they are identical.
Right.
But there is a temporal gap, a slice of time where the status shifted. The anartist works in that gap.
It's invisible. You can't see the difference with your eyes.
No.
So you have to perceive it with what? If not with your eyes and not with your taste, what are you using?
You are using belief.
Belief. Now, wait a minute. You're the man of logic, or at least the autopsy of logic. Why are we bringing belief into this? Isn't that for religion?
Lazzarato makes a crucial distinction between knowledge and belief. Knowledge says, I know. It implies mastery. It implies a fixed subject. I know this is art. I know this is not a pipe.
Okay.
Belief says, I believe.
Okay.
It implies a gamble, a risk.
The text mentions the fool or the idiot.
Yes. Art requires the openness of an idiot, the idiot who falls in love, the idiot who believes in God. Not the institution of the church, but the raw act of believing in the invisible.
It's a mysterious and pleasurable constraint.
It is.
So the anartist has to be smart enough to reject the system, but idiot enough to believe in the impossible gap between the door being open and closed.
Exactly. And this is political. In our societies, what Foucault called societies of security, the directive is to be active, to be responsible.
To know your place.
To have a CV, to have a profile.
To be a brand.
The anartist refuses this. They suspend the belief habit, which is submission to authority, and replace it with belief confidence.
The confidence to what?
The confidence to live in the gap. The anartist makes a work of art out of their life, not by painting a canvas, but by refusing to be employed by art or life.
They live in the suspension.
They live in the glitch.
I can see why you like this guy. But let's move the timeline.
Yeah.
Because the anartist living in 1920s Paris is one thing.
Yes.
But we live in the digital hellscape. We live in the age of algorithms. So if the anartist does nothing, what does the software artist do?
That brings us to part 3, the art of the imperceptible. The source here is Giuseppe Perica, and he argues that in the digital age, the anartist has to become a parasite.
A parasite. Okay. The source material talks about art you can't see.
If the anartist deals with the infrathin, the software artist deals with the code. Software art is not visual. If you are looking at the screen, you are missing the point.
The art is in the relation.
It is in the effects.
Perica talks about the glitch as politics.
Yes. Obfuscation. Dysfunctionality. Denial of service.
Not exactly museum-friendly terms.
In the archives of software art, you don't find categories like beauty or composition. You find malware. You find crashes.
So it's sabotage?
No, this is not sabotage for the sake of destruction. It is a poetics of potentiality. It is breaking the tool to see what it is actually made of.
Let's get concrete again. The source details a project called Google Will Eat Itself. GWEI. This sounds like a heist movie.
It is a conceptual heist, a cannibalistic eating of Google by itself.
Walk me through the mechanism. How did they rob Google?
They didn't rob Google. They used Google's own logic against it. They set up a network of hidden websites. These websites hosted Google AdSense ads.
Okay, so when people click the ads, Google pays the website owner. Standard procedure.
Correct. But they automated the clicking. They created a click fraud mechanism, but a very sophisticated one. They generated micropayments from Google. Money flowed from Google to these artists.
And what do they do with the money? Buy a yacht?
No, they used the money to buy Google shares.
They used Google's money to buy Google.
And then they handed the shares over to the GTTP community Google to the people.
That is brilliant. It's an Ouroboros, a snake eating its own tail. But the scale. Surely they couldn't buy the whole company.
The source calculates it would take 202,345,117 years to fully own Google.
So it's impossible. It's a symbolic gesture.
It is imperceptible. That is the point. It is not about the endpoint of owning Google. It is about the process. It is about hijacking the abstract machine of capitalism.
The abstract machine.
It is using the invisibility of the code, the fact that Google operates in the background, to create a counter-parasite.
It's living inside the beast and stealing its nutrients to grow a new limb. The source also mentions Amazon Noir.
The Big Book Prime.
Tell me.
This was a piece of software that automated the copying of books from Amazon. You know how Amazon lets you look inside a book?
Right, the preview. Few pages.
This software queried the preview function thousands of times, stitching the images together to reconstruct the entire book.
That's audacious.
It stole the intellectual property using the very tool designed to sell it. It worked through a diagrammatics of ambiguity.
Its piracy is high art. But then we get to the virus, the Biennale.py. This was a computer virus released at the Venice Biennale. Now, usually if you release a virus, you go to jail.
But this virus wasn't malicious. It didn't delete files. It didn't steal passwords.
So what did it do? What was the point?
It just lived. It installed itself in the background. It sucked a tiny amount of energy to survive. It spread.
It was a digital pet, a parasite with no function.
It was ethology. This is the key word from Parika. Ethology is the study of animal behavior.
Okay.
Parika argues that code is a body. It is an animal. It has speeds, slownesses, and effects. The virus was demonstrating that code has a life of its own, independent of human utility.
It's a digital wildlife preserve.
Right.
And we're just the ecosystem it lives in.
Precisely. And this leads to the concept of code as stuttering.
Stuttering. I like that image. Because code is usually seen as the ultimate order. It's binary. 0, 1, do this, don't do that.
It is an order word, as Deleuze would say. It commands.
It's the language of the major. The language of authority.
But artists can make this language stutter. They can introduce a stammer into the command.
The fork bomb. The source shows this line of code. It's colon, open parenthesis, close parenthesis, open curly brace, space, colon, pipe, colon, ampersand, space, close curly brace, semicolon, colon, colon. Looks like gibberish.
It is a poetic crash. It is a bash script that defines a function that calls itself twice.
And then?
It splits, and then those two splits, and those four split. It is exponential reproduction.
A cancer.
A chain reaction.
Yeah.
It overstrains the system until it freezes, but Parika calls it a poetic crash. It reveals the limits of the system.
Right.
It shows that code is not just abstract math. It is durational. It unfolds in time. And when it unfolds too fast, the reality of the machine collapses.
It finds the crack in the majoritarian language and pries it open until the whole building falls down.
That is the task of the software artist.
Right.
Not to make pretty screensavers, but to find the cracks.
Okay, we've deconstructed friendliness, we've praised laziness, and we've cheered on digital viruses. But now we have to go to the deepest end of the pool, part 4.
The deep end.
The future of humanity, or as the source puts it, fractal philosophy and the refrain. The source is Johnny Golding. And this is where things get weird.
This is where we leave the ground entirely.
Golding starts by attacking arboreal philosophy, the philosophy of the tree.
The tree is the enemy.
Why? I mean, what did trees ever do to us?
Think about the logic of an oak tree. You have an acorn. What is the destiny of that acorn?
To become an oak tree.
Exactly. It is pre-programmed. It has a root. It has a trunk. It has a goal. Golding, following Deleuze, argues that this is how Western philosophy has trapped us. It tells you, you are an acorn. You must become the tree your DNA dictates. You must follow the root. It is the lineage. It is a hierarchy.
It's the planter's wart logic, as the source calls it. It's destiny. You are your father's son. You are your class. You are your nation.
And Golding rejects this. She calls for rhizomes.
Rhizomes.
Grass, weeds, things that don't have a central root, things that grow sideways, things that spore and pollinate.
So we shouldn't try to be trees. We should try to be weeds.
I should try to be fractal. But to do that, we have to kill the biggest tree of them all.
Which is?
Hegel.
Hegel, again, we can't escape him. Golding attacks Hegel's dialectic. Thesis plus antithesis equals synthesis.
It is a closed loop, Hegel says. The true is the whole. Everything fits into the system.
Right.
If there is a conflict, an antithesis, it just gets absorbed into a new synthesis. It's a machine that eats everything and leaves no room for the new.
It's a totalitarian system of logic. Nothing can be outside the whole.
Golding argues for fractal philosophy. No ground, no goal, no whole. Instead of a tree growing up, you have sporing, you have things jumping from one surface to another.
And this brings us to the image that haunts this entire text.
Yes.
Van Gogh's ear.
The becoming sunflower of Van Gogh's ear.
Okay, stop. Unpack this. Van Gogh cut off his ear. We know this. But the text talks about it becoming sunflower. Is this a metaphor?
No, that is the point. If it is a metaphor, we are back in the tree logic. The ear represents madness.
Yeah.
No. Golding argues it is a literal becoming X.
How can an ear literally become a sunflower? That doesn't make any sense.
It is about the surface. Golding wants to break away from deep meaning. Depth is where God, the state, and the Father live. Depth is the root of the tree.
So forget depth.
Golding wants us to skate on the surface.
The surface journey.
Yes. On the surface, things can connect in impossible ways. The yellow of the sunflower connects to the madness of the ear. The flesh connects to the petals. It is a body without organs.
The BWO. This is a famous Deleuzian term, but Golding describes it vividly. Scurrying like vermin, groping like a blind person.
The body without organs is what remains when you take the organization away.
The organization?
When you take away the judgment, the God, the state, the medical diagnosis, it is unformed, intense matter. It is the ear before it is named ear. It is the sunflower before it is named plant. It is raw intensity.
It sounds terrifying. It sounds like madness.
It is the edge of madness. And that is why the most important question in this entire deep dive is, how do we survive it?
Right.
If we destroy the tree, if we destroy logic, if we become weeds scurrying on the surface, how do we not just go insane?
That is the question. How do we learn to listen?
The answer is the refrain, the ritournelle.
The source gives this beautiful, haunting image, a child in the dark.
Imagine a child alone in the dark. He is gripped with fear. The chaos is closing in. The body without organs is scurrying around him. What does the child do?
He sings.
He sings under his breath. A simple tune. A hum. Why?
To comfort himself.
To create a center. To create a calm and stable center in the heart of chaos. The song draws a circle around him. It creates a wall of sound.
It's a sonic shelter.
Exactly. This is the refrain. It is the first act of art. Not to paint a picture of the world, but to carve out a territory within the chaos. To organize a limited space where you can survive.
So art isn't about expressing yourself to an audience. It's about singing in the dark so you don't dissolve.
But there is a second step. First, you draw the circle to protect yourself. But if you stay in the circle, you die. It becomes a prison.
So what does the child do then?
He opens the circle a crack. He launches forth. He improvises. He takes the song and joins it with the forces of the future.
He steps out into the dark, but with the song as his guide.
That is the task of art. It is not to produce objects for a museum. It is attunement. It is learning how to listen to the chaos and harmonize with it.
It's a shift from the visual to the sonic.
The visual is about dominance. I see it, I know it, I own it. The sonic is about immersion. You are inside the sound. You have to tune yourself to it.
You attune.
The refrain is how we navigate the fractal world without a map.
We don't have a map, we just have a tune.
And that is enough.
Okay, let's try and trace this. We started with the fake friendliness of relational aesthetics, the Stockholm syndrome of art.
The friendly trend.
We moved to the Anartist, the lazy technician who refuses to work and lives in the gap between the open and closed door.
The sublime refusal.
We went digital with the software ethology, the virus that lives, the code that stutters, the imperceptible art that eats Google.
The parasite.
And we ended with the child in the dark, destroying the tree of logic to sing a refrain on the edge of the abyss.
It is a journey from the false consensus to the real chaos.
And it leaves us with a heavy question for you, the listener. The source material challenges you. Are you an oak tree? Are you just following the script that was written for you before you were born? Are you just growing up, getting a job, buying a house, and dying because that's what acorns do?
Or are you ready to become a glitch? Are you ready to refuse the competencies of the system?
Are you ready to cut off the ear and let it become a sunflower?
The task of art is not to be pretty. It is not to be understood. The task of art is to provide the refrain that allows you to step out into the dark.
And that is where we leave you, in the infrathon gap.
Yes.
Between the moment this deep dive ends and the moment your reality resumes.
Mind the gap.
Can you hear the silence? That's the sound of the refrain ending. Now it's your turn to sing.
Good luck.
This has been Doctorates of the Absurd.
Goodbye.
We're done here.